undertaken by millions annually for hundreds of years. It's a beautiful and memorable experience. It's spiritually uplifting and many a times life-changing. Yes, indeed, it is ziyarah, the visitation of the shrines of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's chosen servants, the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and his blessed and immaculate family, the Ahl al-Bayt. Whether it's in Medina, Najaf, here in Karbala, Qadimain, Samarra, Mashhad, Qom, Damascus, or any other site, it's a glorious journey, anticipated with much eagerness by all of us. Perhaps you have already visited some shrines, or are thinking about doing so, or just wondering about it, reflecting on the possibility. Perhaps you have a number of questions. What is ziyarah all about? Is it part of Islamic teachings? What have the Ahl al-Bayt said about it? What should I observe and do whilst I'm in ziyarah? What are the recommended deeds to perform inside the shrines? How do I spiritually benefit whilst here? How to make sure that my ziyarah is accepted? And much more. Join me as we lay down the needed information and discuss these important questions next to the holy shrines here in Ihram.
One day, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said to Imam Ali alayhi salam, "O Abul Hasan, Allah the Exalted has made your grave and the graves of your sons parts of paradise. And Allah the Almighty has ensured that the hearts of those that He has selected from His creation yearn towards you. They will experience hardship, yet they will build your shrines, and they will intensify its visitation, seeking proximity to the Almighty as well as love towards the Messenger of God. Those, O Ali, are the ones that will attain my intercession. They will be around me in the pond of Kawthar, and they will visit me on the Day of Judgment in paradise." The Prophet continued, "O Ali, whomsoever builds your graves and pledges allegiance to them, it is as if they have helped Sulaiman the son of Dawood in the construction of Bayt al-Maqdis. Whomsoever visits your graves, the Almighty grants them the reward of 70 pilgrimages after the wajib pilgrimage, the Hajj, and they will be cleared from their sins after they return from ziyarah, just like they were just born. Give glad tidings to your lovers and followers of the wonderful rewards and the bounties that await them, things that the eyes have not seen, the ears have not heard, and the heart has not comprehended. However, there will be some of the wretched of the people who will stop the ziyarah and the visitation. They are the worst of my ummah. They will never attain my intercession."
In Arabic, ziyarah means to visit, to try and go somewhere. And in the Islamic context, it refers to the intention and commitment by an individual to pay their respects and travel to a holy place, which is usually a resting place of one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's chosen servants, a prophet, and an imam, or a revered individual. There is no doubt regarding the legitimacy, the acceptance, and indeed great benefit within Islamic teachings of ziyarah and this very significant and important journey. It is in fact practiced by all humans They often go to the graves of their loved ones in their memory and expression of love. In fact, it's a practice of all Muslims, Sunni and Shia. They travel to many countries around the world, paying respects to the saints and revered individuals. The Holy Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says, visit the graves as it reminds you of Akhirah. He himself used to visit Jannatul Baqi' on numerous occasions and used to encourage people to do the same. This was also the practice of the Ahlul Bayt and the respected companions as well, whereby they undertook journeys to pay their respects towards these holy individuals.
The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his holy progeny himself visited the grave of his mother Amina bint Wahab at a place called Abwa on the Hudaybiyah journey in the year 6 after Hijrah. He fixed her grave, cried, and made others cry with him as well. In addition, narrations point to the Prophet's daughter Fatima, peace and blessings be upon her, visiting the grave of her uncle Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib at the site of Uhud every Friday. Fatima would cry and weep next to the grave of Hamza. Several narrations point to the Prophet encouraging the visitation of graves. For example, in one narration, the Prophet of Islam, peace and blessings be upon him, and his progeny, is narrated to have said, I prohibited you on visiting the graves, but now you should visit them. You should make your visitation to the cemeteries a source of blessing and a means of forgiveness for the deceased.
Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam narrated that once the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wasallam cried profusely. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam asked for the reason. The Prophet replied, Jibreel informed me that you all will be killed in different ways across different places. Imam Hussein alayhi salam then asked, what will be the reward of those who visit our graves, even though they are far and wide? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, O my son, there are groups of my ummah who will visit you all, seeking blessings. It is indeed incumbent upon me to assist them on the day of resurrection from the difficulty of the sins. And verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant them paradise. So why do we perform ziyarah? You see, the thing is, the more I understand the objectives and the benefits of this visitation, the ziyarah, the more rewards and positive benefits I can attain. Number one, it's all about seeking proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is indeed one of the most important acts of worship and improving spirituality. Ziyarah to the holy shrines have positively transformed the lives of many human beings for centuries. This stems from the important dimension of Tawheed, monotheism, and the guidance of mankind towards purity and righteousness. Undoubtedly, through the visitation of the holy sites, the believer can feel the awe of the blessed site and perform the many acts of worship of the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala that are recommended. This includes recitation of the Holy Quran, various supplications, dhikr, remembrance of Allah, as well as salah, prayers. It is important to note that nowhere in these sites, whether in Medina or here in Karbala, anyone is worshipping anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, seeking inspiration. One of the noble objectives of ziyarah is to establish a connection with these holy individuals and consider them as exemplars in attaining the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as the desired purity of the soul. Humans tend to imitate and look at role models in different aspects of their lives. Being present in these shrines of the Ahlul Bayt inspires the visitor to study their lives, taking note of important applications and lessons that can be applied to themselves as well as their families. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. There is certainly for you in the Messenger of Allah an excellent example for anyone who seeks Allah and the last day and who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala often. Number 3, the recitation of the various supplications and salutations upon the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam indeed presents some of these valuable lessons for reflection and application. Important theological concepts like wilaya, association, and tabarra, dissociation from the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, are frequently found in such supplications. For example, in Ziyarat Aminullah we recite, "You are my God, my Lord, and my Master. Forgive the sins of our guardians. Keep away our enemies from us, and divert them from troubling us. Let the word of truth become manifest and make it supreme, and let the word of falsehood be refuted and make it low. Surely you have the power over all things." Another key purpose of ziyarah is to establish allegiance. Visitation of the shrines of the Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, allows the believer to express their allegiance and commitment to the teachings presented by the holy household. This will not only strengthen the relationship with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, but serves as a reminder for the visitors themselves of their responsibilities upon them in honoring their commitment and considering themselves as followers of these illustrious personalities. This has been referred to within the actual teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Every Imam has taken allegiance from their followers and their Shia. Verily, the sign of this and the good conduct by them, the Shia, is to visit their graves. Whomsoever visits them positively, seeking them and affirming what they sought to establish, they, the Imams, will intercede for them on the day of Qiyamah. It is also important for the visitor to stand in admiration for the achievements of these holy people, as well as the extent of sacrifice and devotion they displayed in their lives. The visitor would recognize that everything in the lives of the Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, was performed for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they would put others before themselves. Therefore, importantly, ziyarah is an opportunity to express thankfulness and gratitude to the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, being cognizant that without their relentless efforts, the beautiful teachings of the religion of Islam would not have reached us today. One of the main aspects often found in the ziyarah supplications of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam is highlighting the extensive oppression they faced during their lifetime and how they exercised steadfastness and patience in return. The torture, assassinations, usurping of rights, attack on family, as well as attempts to humiliate are some of the injustices faced by the Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, from the likes of Quraysh, Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas. Indeed, the oppression continued after their martyrdom, where several of the shrines have been destroyed and erased, such as the Baqi' cemetery, the Askari shrines, as well as Imam Hussein alayhi salam's mausoleum in Karbala over the centuries. The visitor to the shrines or graves would appreciate the honorable struggle of the Ahlul Bayt in facing tyrants and despots, as well as their courage in fearing none other than the Creator. Indeed, the sacrifice of the Ahlul Bayt has inspired millions across history to stand up and demand their rights against the oppressors. Tyrants, dictators, despots throughout history have been afraid of Hussein, even after his death, because of the power that he has, because of the influence, the inspiration. He is indeed a superpower, and hence they try to stop his ziyarah, not once being successful. Seeking physical blessings is also an Islamically acceptable and noble objective. The belief that being physically adjacent or in contact with the shrines of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam stems from the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen them and made everything associated with them a source of blessings. Several examples from the Holy Quran illustrate this concept. One being the station of Ibrahim, containing the footprints of the great prophet of God, Abraham. It is praised as a manifest sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in chapter 3, verse number 97. There are many accounts of healing obtained by people of all faiths at the shrines of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam. This is without doubt with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when it is best for the individual. Yet, at the same time, it entails the belief and the conviction that if the healing is best, it will happen through the blessings of these holy individuals. An example of how the visitor can learn from the akhlaq of the person that they've come to perform the ziyarah of is the personality of the great brother of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, the loyal, altruistic son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. I am privileged here to be next to his dome. And truly, when one comes to visit Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, salamullahi alayhi, they remember a number of very crucial, wonderful areas that can be applied into one's life. For example, loyalty and standing firm when it comes to the principles and the values that the individual believes in. Here you find Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was presented with an opportunity to save his life, but he did not hesitate, not even for a second, when he supported his brother and he gave his life and everything that he had. Another key area that can be implemented whilst visiting Abu al-Fadl salamullahi alayh is, for example, the beautiful notion of brotherhood and how love and respect can be enhanced and inculcated amongst brothers and sisters for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Altruism and thinking about others before oneself is a key concept that one can learn from such an illustrious personality. Constantly to place the well-being of other human beings before one's own is very much praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's a beautiful characteristic of the believers. A visitor to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullahi alayhi's shrine would be able to appreciate how patience and self-control can grant the human being eternal success. Here was a man who was able to drink and quench his thirst, but instead he thought about the children. He was pondering and reflecting upon the suffering of his brother, the vicegerent and the representative of Allah on this earth, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, and therefore he did not sip a single drop of that water. Incredible willpower. And that is a great lesson for those who come to visit, to say no to desires and temptations, to say yes to the obedience of Allah, and to strengthen the muscle within, that of self-control.
Before you leave for ziyarah, make sure you do the following. Number one, make sure you settle your debts and have your will written. Number two, seek forgiveness from people you may have hurt or injured. Seek understanding of the lives of the holy individuals that you're going to visit. Also, identify key aspects that you can improve in your life and seek inspiration from ziyarah. Don't forget to pay sadaqah for the protection of your journey. Ask yourself this question: why am I doing the ziyarah? Beg the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala to make your heart sincere and that you are undertaking this spiritual journey for His sake alone.
So when I come for ziyarah, what are the adab, etiquettes of this visitation? We know that many acts of worship in Islam are presented with several recommendations to enhance the spiritual experience and gain maximum blessings. Whilst recognizing the importance of these graves and the significance of ziyarah, the visitor is encouraged to practice and apply the adab, what's known as the etiquettes. It will undoubtedly help with the fulfillment of the spiritual and physical benefits of this noble act. First of all, sincerity is crucial. Why am I performing the ziyarah? The intention should be purely to seek the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. The visitor must be careful not to perform the ziyarah to show off to others or to boast about their blessings. The purer the intention, the greater the divine blessings and mercy. Physical purity is crucial. The Quranic message is to enter the places of worship both in purity and in good presentation. In the Holy Quran, chapter 7, verse 31, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. Put on your adornments in every mosque. When approaching the shrines of the Ahl al-Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, the visitor should recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has purified and cleansed them thoroughly. Therefore, visiting their site entails a degree of physical purity. The visitor should remain in wudu and in the state of purity whilst in these holy places. Performing ghusl, which is ritual wash, before the visit, especially on the first occasion, has been mentioned in countless narrations. The wearing of clean and pure clothes and putting on perfume is also recommended. However, the latter, which is putting on perfume, is not recommended when visiting the shrine of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. The visitor is also advised to walk inside the shrine with humility and reverence. Short steps within the actual sanctuary. While remembering the greatness of the individual being visited, the believer is encouraged to enter calmly and with a peaceful heart. Shoes and sandals should be removed, and steps should be shortened. Throughout the journey towards the shrine and inside, the visitor is encouraged to purify their lips with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and salutations upon the Holy Prophet of Islam and his holy pure progeny. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam encourages the visitor to observe the following etiquettes. In a narration he says, when you're going towards Abu Abdullah, peace and blessings be upon him, perform a ghusl from the Furat river. Then put on clean clothes and walk barefooted, as indeed you are in a sanctuary of the sanctuaries of Allah and of His Messenger. And thus I advise you, Imam Sadiq says, to continuously magnify Allah by saying Allahu Akbar and sanctify Allah by stating La ilaha illallah. The veneration of Allah by saying Subhanallah, the praise of Allah, Alhamdulillah, as well as exonerating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from anything that He has not said about Himself by saying Subhanallah al-Azim, the glorious and majestic, and by sending prayers and salutations upon Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his family. In other words, reciting the Salawat. Seeking permission to enter has also been emphasized. Before entering a holy shrine or cemetery, the visitor is urged to seek permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His Messenger, the Imam, as well as the angels. This has been established widely through various supplications and refers to the concept that the Holy Prophet and the Ahl al-Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, hear the permission and indeed respond despite us not perceiving it. It affirms the sacredness of the shrine and the idea of it being a place of sanctity and guidance. The seeking of permission to enter is a Quranic recommendation. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu la tadkhulu buyuta an-nabi illa an yu'dhana lakum. O you who have faith, do not enter the Prophet's houses unless permission is granted to you, Allah says in the Quran. While verbally asking for permission, it is recommended that the visitor feels a sense of humility in the heart, asking themselves whether they are deserving of permission being granted. Shedding tears and expressing thankfulness for this blessing is also advised. At the entrance, it is prudent to enter using the right foot, reciting takbir, Allahu Akbar. Taking short steps whilst humbly lowering the head is highly recommended. So inside the holy shrine like this of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, engaging in the worship and the remembrance of the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala is highly desirable. Now this can be through salah, Quran recitation, istighfar, meaning seeking forgiveness, tasbih, glorification of Allah, dua, supplication, and any other means of remembrance. Similarly, the visitor is recommended to display his love towards the holy personality buried in the shrine by kissing the doorway, for example, as well as the dharih. It is one way of showing respect to this blessed area. Remember, the Holy Quran informs us that objects that come in contact with holy individuals are a source of healing. For example, you have the shirt of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Many Muslims also kiss the cover of the Quran when they come across it or upon reciting it. This is not tantamount to worship of these objects, of course, but a demonstration of respect and the seeking of blessings through these objects. It is completely in line with Quranic teachings and Sharia law. When we come to shrines like this, we must have consideration of others. Possessing a good understanding of the blessed nature of ziyarah should make the visitor appreciate the importance of respecting the other visitors in the shrine. This entails taking the utmost care not to hurt, push anyone, or try to annoy people around us. We need to ensure that the feelings of others are not hurt. Respect, offering smiles, and kind words are important demonstrations of good moral conduct in these places. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the need to revere the sacredness of these blessed sites by avoiding shouting and raising one's voice. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu la tarfa'u aswatakum fawqa sawti an-nabi wa la tajharu lahu bil qawl kajahri ba'dikum li ba'd أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. Allah says in the Quran, O you who believe, do not raise your voices above the voice of the Prophet, and do not speak aloud to him as you shout to one another, lest your deeds should fail without you being aware. Now, one of the things that most of us seek to do when we come for ziyarah is to kiss the dharih, the mausoleum, the place in which the holy Ma'soom, like Imam al-Hussein here behind me alayhi salam, is buried. It's undoubtedly beneficial, it's rewarding, yet the visitor must make sure that they do not hurt others in attempting to get this reward. This is very important, especially the case in the shrine of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein, Sayyid al-Shuhada, peace and blessings be upon him, during busy times such as Arba'een. Due to sheer volumes of visitors, sometimes we find it difficult to get to the window of the mausoleum. We must understand that the Imam would be displeased when we push, shove others, perhaps paying respect from afar if it is busy, and intending to come back later when the shrine is not as congested is a best solution. A key essential component of the recommendations inside the shrines of the Ahl al-Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them, is the recitation of the established ziyarah. It is highly recommended to greet and send salutations upon the Prophet and his family using the supplications and invocations narrated from them. Each member of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam has a designated ziyarah or more, and there are some that can be recited for all the ma'sumeen alayhimus salam. This includes, for example, Ziyarat Aminullah, which is amongst the most authentic ziyarahs we have today. For Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, there are general ziyarahs and there are specific ones for the time of the visitation. The general mutlaq ones include Ziyarat Ashura and Ziyarat Waritha. Specific ones include, for example, ziyarah on the 15th of Sha'ban, on the 1st of Rajab, or Ziyaratul Arba'een. After each ziyarah, recite 2 rak'ah of salah, known as Salatul Ziyarah. For the Imams, it should be performed next to or behind the grave. Prayers whilst the mausoleum is behind the visitor should be avoided. And there is often a supplication to be recited after each recommended salah, which further increases the blessings.
The shrines of the Ahlul Bayt are great places of worship of the Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Hence, performing wajib and congregational salah earns significant reward and blessings. This is especially the case if the prayers are performed at their recommended time, known as awwalul waqt. Likewise, praying qada, which is to make up missed obligatory prayers, is highly encouraged in these sites and brings tremendous award than their performance in many other places.
السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. Facing the dharih of the Ma'soom and standing whilst reciting Ziyarah is highly recommended. This demonstrates respect to the one the visitor has come to visit. Furthermore, it is also recommended to touch the dharih of the Ma'soom if possible. It is good practice to place the right cheek followed by the left on the dharih and ask for the desires and wishes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through that individual. The beautiful invocation of sending blessings and salutation upon the Holy Prophet and his pure progeny has been emphasized in the Holy Quran. In chapter 33, verse number 56, Allah Jalla wa Ala states, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Indeed, Allah and his angels send salutations upon the Prophet. O you who have faith, invoke blessings upon him and invoke peace upon him in a worthy manner and submit entirely. This salawat is a means of earning reward, bringing forth mercy and placing happiness in the hearts of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Continuous salawat earns the visitor special reward, especially in these holy sites. This is affirmed by the Ahlul Bayt themselves. In a narration, it is mentioned, the heaviest good deed placed on the scales on the day of Qiyamah is salawat upon Muhammad and his holy, pure household. Recitation of the Holy Quran inside the shrines is amazing, beautiful, and very, very important. It is highly recommended that the visitor who comes for ziyarah engages in the recitation of the mesmerizing words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gives the reward of the recitation to the Imam or the holy personality they are visiting. For example, one can recite a chapter of the Quran and dedicate the reward of that recitation to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Sitting in proximity to the glorious shrines should also allow us to reflect upon the Holy Quran and its practical applications in our lives, making sure that we lead our lives in as far as the Holy Quran's instructions as taught to us by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Whilst inside the shrine, the visitor can also contribute financially to the maintenance and development of these holy places, in addition to worthy causes such as orphans, widows, and the needy, as well as those who have sacrificed their lives to protect these shrines. Some pointers that sometimes are beneficial for us when we come for ziyarah of the shrine of any of the Ma'soomeen alayhim salam is when we first enter for the first time, let's not immediately ask for our needs and our hajat, such as materialistic matters, but rather seek to connect with the Imam, express gratitude and thankfulness, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the acceptance of the ziyarah itself. Remember the Imams as well as these holy individuals such as Abu al-Fadl Abbas alayhi salam do not possess anything independently from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you ask, you should have in your mind that you are asking them because of their position in the eyes of Allah, and that they are fully dependent on the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the principle of tawassul. Another thing to keep in mind when coming to ziyarah is to try and be careful and self-aware of everything you are doing during the process of ziyarah. How you interact with people, the way you walk. Be careful of your thoughts, for example. Be as much as possible in a state of consciousness and humility. Don't just verbally recite the du'as and ziyarahs. Rather, understand what is being said and think over it. Think about your past, present and future. Try and relate to the ziyarah. When, for example, you distance yourself away from the killers of Imam al-Hussein, you should think about yourselves too. Do I not have some of those possible attributes? The ziyarah should be like a pledge to the Imam. It's your labbaik, so do it wholeheartedly. Try to connect by shedding the tears. Remember your sins and remember the masa'ib of the Imam and how difficult they went through. In your ziyarah, try and first pray for others before praying for yourself. And when praying for others, if you can remember people by name, then it's great. The more that you're selfless, the more you will gain. Try to be as much as possible in the state of wudu' and purity. It is advisable to touch the shrine and the dariyah. And perhaps sometimes you may need to ask those in charge here who are here to serve the zuwar, and perhaps others that have come for ziyarah on a frequent basis, about the best time to come to the shrine itself, so that you are able to experience the serenity with perhaps less crowd. Remember that the ziyarah is not only about you being present in these shrines, but also your akhlaq with others when it comes to your own group or your own family or wherever you are staying. Try to make that also noble. Try not to hurt others. And I myself have seen ulama, maraja and senior scholars, they stand a few meters away if they see that it's congested. Remember, it's about your heart connecting to the shrine. Recite short du'as that you understand, that you enjoy. Sometimes it's about the du'as that you feel a special affinity with, that gets your soul moving. Talk to the Imam with your heart, not just your lips. Try not to be distracted by people and what they are saying or how they are dressed. Don't just read from the books in front of the Imam. Rather, take time to converse with them from your heart. Don't forget Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, in your ziyarah. Maybe he's standing next to you, honoring his grandfathers. Remember him and pledge allegiance. Don't forget to do a 2 rak'ah salah on his behalf. It is also quite interesting, and some have actually practiced this and have seen the benefits, to write down your observations. Write down your feelings, what you go through, your pledges, and the ways that you want to transform and change. You will benefit a lot. When you go back home, you'll be able to see the things and you'll be able to relive those moments. It might be a lot to take in at the beginning, and so writing it down helps absorb this. Whilst inside, it is crucial to reflect and to contemplate and to beg Allah for forgiveness, as well as mention the sins. A very important consideration we should all have when we come to ziyarah is the following. How do I maximize spirituality? How do I get closeness and proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now, for the visitors seeking that spiritual elevation and increased blessings whilst at the holy shrines, some recommendations have been presented by our ulama. They include to utilize our presence inside the shrines of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam to ask for tawbah, repentance, penitence, and cleanse the souls from the evils of sins. This would need to be sincere, performed with remorse over past transgressions, but with commitment not to repeat the sins. As mentioned in the Quran, chapter 4, verse number 64, the intercession of the Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them all, is an important factor for forgiveness of sins from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Consider writing down the sins committed in the past, taking this with you to the shrine and mentioning it quietly with a sorrowful heart, seeking that tawbah and penitence and release from the chastisement of hell. Whilst we are in the state of connecting with the Ma'soom, seeking further enlightenment of the soul by performing recommended prayers such as Salatul Layl and other Nawafil daily prayers is highly sought. The 11th only Imam, Imam al Askari salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, establishes that performing 51 ruk'ahs or daily units, including the obligatory and the recommended prayers, is one of the signs of believers. The Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have emphasized the importance of Salatul Layl. A number of worldly benefits as well as that of the Akhirah have been mentioned in numerous traditions. For example, the Holy Prophet of Islam, Rasul al-A'zam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam states, you must get up for Salatul Layl, for verily it was the devoted practice of all the righteous people before you. And verily the night prayer is a means of proximity to Allah as well as prevention from sin. Another narration from Imam Ali alayhi salam says, standing up to pray at night is conducive to the health of the body, is a source of pleasure for the Lord, exposes oneself to divine mercy, and is adherence to moral virtues of the prophets. Salatul Layl, being performed in the shrines, has a beautiful sweet taste. If one has not practiced Salatul Layl before and begins to do so whilst in proximity of the shrines of these very holy individuals who would not miss performing Salatul Layl, you feel that one is able to maintain it whilst returning back home. Perhaps starting slowly, emphasizing the need and the importance of it and the benefit, seeking exemplary examples from the inspiration of these holy individuals would help us to maintain it throughout our lives. Whilst here in the shrine, pledge a commitment with the Imam that we will make a positive change in our lives. This may include stopping a prohibited act, such as watching haram or forbidden movies, or stopping oneself from backbiting or gossiping. The pledge could also entail the execution of good deeds, such as supporting orphans, performing Salatul Fajr, Salatul Subh, and not missing it. Reflect on whether you'll be a better person going home after Ziyarah in terms of righteousness and virtue. Seek inspiration from one aspect of the life of the Imam, such as a virtue, and draw up a plan on how to apply that element into your own personal life. Ask the Imam to intercede and help you achieve this and grant you another opportunity to perform the Ziyarah again. It is very important not to be afraid to express your emotions, to cry, to allow yourself to be drawn into the love of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. It is highly fruitful to keep the feeling of love and affection strong throughout the journey, to listen to the eulogies and grief over how they were treated. The masa'ib of the Ahlul Bayt are heart-rendering. Listen to them, ponder over them, allow the tears to fall from the eyes. Write down these experiences and discuss them with others. Empty your heart inside the shrine and allow space and time for reflection and contemplation towards a better spiritual life. Remember, express gratitude towards these holy individuals for their relentless efforts and sacrifice that has enabled pure Islam to reach us today. Who I am, where I have reached, and where I go is largely due to these holy individuals. I come and I say thank you. It is because of what you have done that today I am seeking the path of salvation, that I am remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, I am eternally grateful to you, O holy Ahl al-Bayt. Of course, some may have the question, should I come at makhsus specific times of the year where there are clear recommendations for ziyarah, such as, for example, 15th of Sha'ban, Ashura, the month of Ramadan, or for example, Arba'een, where it is quite packed and congested? Or should I come at times where it is quiet and I am able to have much more of an easy access to the shrine and to the dharihs of the holy individuals? Of course, both are recommended and both have their merits. It's up to the individual themselves. I think for both, one is able to experience a different dimension. At one instance, you have recommendations to be present whilst experiencing the atmosphere. And on the other hand, especially coming at quieter times, at night time, where the shrines are very much quiet, one is able to reflect and to ponder and to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a more focused manner. اللهم إني تعرفت لزيارة أوليائك رغبة في ثوابك ورجاء لمغفرتك وجزيل إحسانك. How do I know if my ziyarah has been accepted? This is an important question, and undoubtedly it will be in the minds of many people who come for ziyarah and visitation. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala answers this question emphatically in the Holy Quran. Chapter 5, verse number 27. إنما يتقبل الله من المتقين. Surely, verily, Allah accepts from the God-conscious. Taqwa is seen as an absolute necessity for the acceptance of my ziyarah. But you might be asking, how does taqwa manifest in as far as the ziyarah is concerned? Well, think about it this way. How much change is there in your life after returning back from ziyarah? Positive change, spiritual change. Was I the same before ziyarah or after ziyarah? If there is improvement, if I see that, for example, my akhlaqs has become better, if my prayers have improved, if I'm looking after my spirituality, or I'm more keen to serve others, my connection with the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam is deeper, richer, more profound, then this is an indication of the acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You and I have to be ambassadors for the ziyarah of the shrines of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam, recognizing that when we go for ziyarah and after it, there must be a change of heart. And if after the ziyarah there is a revival of our spirit, if after ziyarah there is a rejuvenation of our faith, if after the ziyarah there is a development in our character, and if after ziyarah there's an improvement of our behavior and a determination to transform our lives for the better, in essence, this is what has made our ziyarah successful. After ziyarah, if we decide to introduce in our lives God's pleasure and God's will ahead of our decisions, the Imam's pleasure in front of our decisions, the Quran's instructions ahead of our own whimsical needs, then truly the ziyarah will have had its impact upon us. And this is the manifestation of it that we see in our lives, that indeed will be greatly shown to us on the day of Qiyamah, at least in the form of shafa'ah and the intercession of the holy Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam.
It is highly recommended that not only does a ziyarah become theoretical, but also practical, in that we are inspired by it to help others and are motivated to instigate positive transformation and change within ourselves. This was indeed the spirit of the Ahl al-Bayt. We have examples today of people who have established orphanages, built schools, given their time and sacrificed what they can after ziyarah, motivated by this wonderful journey. Seek the ihsan and the positive assisting of others, allowing the light of ziyarah to transform the lives of other human beings.
An important text to reflect upon and to read when coming for ziyarah is a book by the name of Kamil Ziyarat, which is also translated to English. It's written by a scholar by the name of Ibn Qawlaway, who died 367 after Hijrah, that's 976 Gregorian. He is a famous Shia muhaddith and a well-known scholar, and he was one of the best students of Allama Muhammad ibn Yaqub al-Kulayni, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayh. Now, he himself explains why he wrote this book. He says, I wrote this book to seek nearness to Allah, the Prophet, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Lady Fatima, and the error-free, sinless, ma'soom Imams, peace and blessings be upon them all, and also to promote the visitation of these noble sites amongst my brothers in religion. And I tried to give all the faithfuls a present through spreading the knowledge of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam and mentioning the spiritual reward of such a ziyarah. Kamil Ziyarat is one of the most important hadith references of the Shia and one of the most authentic reference books of hadith and supplication in the world of Shi'ism, in which many scholars and jurists have always benefited from. Hadith and traditions quoted in the book of Kamil Ziyarat are highly reliable and have been quoted from authentic usuli references and sources. In this book, Ibn Qawlaway has discussed various aspects of ziyarah, including the rewards, authenticity, legitimacy, as well as manners of such a visitation. Kamil Ziyarat contains 843 narrations in 108 chapters, which focuses on the merits of the visitation of the shrines of the Imams alayhim salam, including Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Also, the merits of the ziyarah of certain months, such as Rajab and Sha'wan, as well as the visitation of the shrines of other Imams, such as Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, have been included. A person who comes to the ziyarah of the shrines of Imam al-Hussein, like for example, the Darih of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, here behind me, should get a copy of Kamil Ziyarat, should study it beforehand, and have this copy with them throughout the journey, referring back to it time after time, to remind themselves of the excellence and the status of the Za'ir of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, and the wonderful bounties and the rewards that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has indeed reserved for them, both in this world as well as the akhirah. So what is ziyarah then? Perhaps it's all about taqwa and God consciousness, the journey of self-purification, the journey of a lifetime, the process and the movement to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the remembrance of the glorious, immaculate progeny of the Holy Prophet, the Ahl al-Bayt. This ziyarah is so important, and that is why it is highly recommended that especially for the believers who live in the Western world to make commitment and to seek to take their families with them from time to time, to get the fuel and the spiritual strength as much as possible and affirm wilayah of Ahl al-Bayt. This love of Ahl al-Bayt for our children is so powerful. Try to bring them towards this land, as well as the visitation of the other shrines of the Ahl al-Bayt from time to time. And why not become an ambassador of the ziyarah of the holy shrines? Talk to your non-Muslim friends. Highlight the beauty of this journey and the impact that it has had upon yourself. And also try to bring them too. For example, towards the Arba'een walk to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein shrine. At other times of the year, encourage your non-Muslim friends to join you in this journey, so they too will become individuals who would benefit from this glorious movement and this journey of enlightenment.
It is suggested the visitor recites the special ziyarah when bidding farewell to the shrine. With a heavy heart, most visitors weep when visiting the shrine for the final time before returning to their homelands. It is therefore important to speak to the Imam and ask sincerely to be given an opportunity to return once again. Perhaps a suggestion is to make a commitment with the Imam that you are visiting that one thing will change in your life. If that indeed takes place, then perhaps the Imam will invite you to visit him once again.
حسين